Look at that, a little series win for the boys.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5E Wasco, Carter First too, as well on Instagram, TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. Drop a subscription if you're new here, and just keeps us at the top of your page, keeps you guys informed, helps us out a bunch. Carter, the boys get it done. They get a series win after a very, very lackluster game one. I was pretty happy with this. Let me just run through the games here. Game one Friday, 2-1 Seattle. Game two, 5-4, almost blown lead from the Blue Jays. Great, we get the win. It's good enough, I guess. And Sunday, 5-4 Blue Jays in extras. I don't know, Carter. It was a fun series to watch. The games were close, so it was exciting in that sense. But overall, I mean, both offenses were just not there at all.
Well, yeah, just looking at the Seattle Mariners lineup, like they have Cal Raleigh, like Jorge Polanco's corpse is hitting in that lineup. There's so many pieces on that team that it seems like they have a ton of Kevin Kiermaier's. And obviously we know how bad Kevin Kiermaier is and has been. But yeah, just going over the offense, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of how both of these teams look. But starting off, I'm back. Finally, my first missed episode of the podcast. I think I overcame the Spanish flu last week. It was obviously, you saw in a couple episodes, I did not sound like myself, definitely did not feel like myself. And we had Skylar planned for coming on the Friday episode anyway. So I'm like, hey, I'll take the back seat on this one. I'll let you two guys just yap away. And boy, did you guys ever yap, one of the longer episodes we've had. But always fun to have Skylar on. Actually came down this Saturday as well. Watched the game, well, the first 3 innings, I should say. Didn't watch the entire game, so you had to work. But he definitely watched it at work. Watched the first 3 innings with us. Just we had a few beers, stuff like that. Stayed up very late, probably way too late that night. But what a weekend from the boys. Great baseball, entertaining games. The most fun I've had watching baseball in a very long time. We got to take the positives here. Like, we won a series. First time winning a series since June 14th to 16th against the Cleveland Guardians. Doesn't happen often. So when it happens, you got to give your boys their flowers. What a win. What a weekend.
Yeah, we talked about it, sort of just me, you, and Skylar as we were sort of having a couple beers yesterday, and just how exciting these close games have been. Yes, it might not be the best baseball you want to see the guys play, but like we always said, at least it's exciting baseball. At least it's down to the wire. If you're watching the broadcast over the weekend, it looked like the crowd was insane there. Half Blue Jays fans, half Mariners fans, battling it out in the stands too. That's what you would love to see. That's what baseball is all about right there.
Well, that's what they say, that Seattle is like the Toronto Blue Jays' second home. Obviously, you get all those West Coasters going down to Seattle, especially from BC, not that far of a drive. Obviously, they're not going to make the trek out to Toronto. That is a very far away. Canada's a big country, if you guys didn't realize. So that's a huge flight for us. Even like for our flight, what was it, 4.5 hours? And we're from Manitoba. So obviously, BC is a lot more west. I can't even fathom how long it would be. I'm assuming probably like 12 hours, something like that. Insane flight across the country. So it's definitely nice to see all the Toronto Blue Jays fans making it out there to Seattle. But like you said, I'll kind of get into the breakdown here. Both these offenses just aren't good. Simply, they aren't good. Especially Julio Rodriguez was out in a couple of games this weekend. Again, they have Cal Raleigh. Like, that's the only guy I was like sort of scared of. Like, just going over some individual stats here for the Seattle Mariners. It's like their best guy for batting average is Luke Raley. Didn't think that's probably not a good thing for your team. He's hitting 253. Oh, sorry, Josh Rojas hitting 257. There you go, even better. So as terms of averages and everything, but you definitely want guys to get on base. You want them to be able to hit the ball into play and hit it hard. The Mariners don't really do that. Ty France it looks terrible. JP Crawford, horrendous. Mitch Garver, Mitch Haniger. There's so many guys that just on this team. It's absolutely insane. But their pitching is unreal. Obviously, George Kirby, we didn't have to face Logan Gilbert this weekend, thank God. Luis Castillo, we got on the Friday game. That obviously we know how that went. 2 hits, I think, in the entire ball game. That's definitely not going to play. But you're looking here. I'll just break down we'll kind of compare the Seattle Mariners offense to the Toronto Blue Jays offense, and then just some other stats as well. So the Seattle Mariners in runs, they are 27th. The Blue Jays are 24th in runs. So slightly better, not good. Hits, the Seattle Mariners are 30th in the league in hits. There's 30 teams in the MLB, and that's dead last, 7 hits per game. Toronto Blue Jays, 7.7, again, 24th. For us, average 234, 22nd in the league. Seattle Mariners for average are 30th. 216. Obviously, with Josh Rojas at 257, average, that one didn't really surprise me at all. Slugging, the Mariners 28th, OPS, they're 28th, OBP 26th. It's just not great. The Toronto Blue Jays OBP, the Blue Jays walk a lot, but they just can't seem to drive into these runners a lot of the time. 14th best walk rate in the league. Slugging is 23rd, OPS is 20th. So you're looking at these stats offensively. You're like, the Toronto Blue Jays are not good, but they are better than the Seattle Mariners. Why is one team 49 and 43? And why is one team like 8 games below 500? And the most obvious thing of all time is the pitching. It's not necessarily the starting pitching. I have it grouped like pitching in totality, but there's obviously one major flaw in both the Toronto Blue Jays, not as much in Seattle Mariners, obviously, it's the bullpen. The bullpen is the biggest difference. The Seattle Mariners have a great bullpen. Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, obviously, as we saw it in the second game of the series, that was scary. I'm surprised that we even got away with that game. Bullpen just does enough. Toronto Blue Jays offense just does enough. But we'll just quickly grind out some of these Seattle Mariners stats. 3.7 runs allowed for the Seattle Mariners. That's first in the league. Hits allowed, 7.2. First in the league. Batting average against, 220. First in the league. ERA, 3.55. Third in the league. WHIP, 107. First in the league. That's going to play. That is kind of what Ross Atkins was hoping for when he built this pitching staff, when he built this team. Offense, obviously, you don't want your offense to be 24th, but you definitely want your offense to be decent, and you want your pitching staff to be really good. Maybe not necessarily first. It's obviously what you're striving for, but I don't think that's a fair expectation for any team to have for their pitching staff. But that's exactly what the Seattle Mariners are getting, and that's why they're a good baseball team. Look at the Toronto Blue Jays. Hits allowed, 8.5, 23rd. Runs allowed, 4.7, 22nd. Batting average against, 252. That is tied for 24th. ERA, 24th. WHIP, 21st. It's just bottom of the barrel, not complete bottom of the barrel, bottom third of the league. But you need your pitching staff to be good when you don't have a good offense. I'm breaking news. If you didn't know that, you need to actually score runs, and you need to not allow runs to come in to be a good baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science here. Everybody knows exactly what this team needs to do, and it's just they can't. The bullpen has been plagued this season, and it's not getting better. Obviously, we saw the Saturday game did not go the bullpen's way. They got sort of lit up, and I'll grab those stats here really quickly because it was just terrible on Saturday. We were watching that game, and I really just didn't know what to do. Trevor Richards comes in, gives up 3 hits, 3 earned runs. He got 2 strikeouts, great, but gave up a home run, and that's what killed him. Then Brennan Little comes in, gives up a hit, gets a strikeout, goes 2/3 of an inning. And then Chad Green, a guy who's been just excellent all season, comes in and gives up the home run there, which scores another run. And then could have been the dagger, right? We were sitting on the edge of our seats for that one. And you never want to have a guy like Y-Rod go in and pitch a great outing and then have the bullpen blow that game for you. So luckily the Blue Jays were able to hang on and get out of that. But man, like that you're sitting there, probably the players are sitting there thinking they might win this game on us after Y-Rod goes 6 scoreless, which is just an insane thing to say.
Yeah, that second game, like the Toronto Blue Jays won the game 5-4, and it did not really feel like a win. I know they won. I think I said, "Oh no," in that game probably a million times. Like I was just like, "No, this can't happen. This can't happen. Please don't let it happen." Obviously, just enough. But we're gonna go into that game a little bit more. Let's break down the first game, the one that just happened. George Springer, man. George Springer is back. It is fun to watch George Springer play baseball again. We've been hoping for it. I know we were really bagging on him, but he was one of the worst hitters in baseball for like 2 months of the season, 3 months, you could even say. Yeah. George Springer's finally back. I think you have some stats on him. Obviously, a huge 3-run home run today. He was fired up too. To see that emotion from George Springer coming up with another big hit in a big moment, 3-run bomb. He's getting pretty good at doing that. He had a 6 RBI day a couple weeks ago, had 2 3-run bombs. George Springer is such a fun player to watch. That Springer, Horwitz, Vladdy combo at the top 3. Just never switch it, John. Just never switch that. It's working out. Leave it as is. And boy, George Springer is so fun to watch. Because he's playing such good defense. He's so good on the base paths. He can just put something together offensively like he has been doing recently. it's just a pleasure to have George Springer on your team. And it makes $25 million not seem like nearly as much as it did in the months of May and June.
Yeah, and a cool stat I heard on the broadcast today is that when you look at George Springer's speed on the bases, most of the time he's considered he has elite speed. That's what the category he'd be put into, which is crazy to think about. But he does so many aspects of the game well. The defense you talked about, the base running, some of the base running decisions he made on Sunday's game were just really good. The way he tracks the ball, knows what's going to happen, and then is able to get that quicker jump. It is really, really fun to watch. And the problem with most of this season so far is that, yeah, we haven't gotten to see him on the base pass a whole bunch. Now he's hitting the ball well. He's looking really good. I'll get into some stats later on here as we do sort of a Vlad Springer comparison, just because the two of them have been going nuts, and that's what we need. And I don't know, Carter, this whole team, I mean, looking at Sunday's game, the problem has been consistency. We haven't had 4 or 5 guys all be hot together. It's been maybe 2 guys being hot at the same time. Now we're starting to see where we have 3 or possibly 4. So we're getting there. We're talking about Vlad, Springer, Horwitz, and the odd time Justin Turner, who, since he's come back, has not been great from the paternity leave he took. But we're starting to see the development, and I want to see it happen. And I want to see this team grab wins. But at this point, Carter, I'm just seeing it be too late. I think even if Springer comes on, it's too little too late, and this team's too far behind the 8 ball to be able to step up and make it anywhere close to the playoffs.
Well, and the All-Star break is coming up rapidly. I think there's only 2 more series until the All-Star break comes. You got the Giants, who are not that good of a baseball team. We'll get to see Matt Chapman. I'm sure some people watching this are going to love that series. And then I think it's the D-backs after that. So again, this team is still 8 to 9 games under 500. That is a huge pace to make up. I know, I think it was the 2015 team was about 500 at the All-Star break. That team had Jose Bautista, that team had Edwin Encarnacion, and that team offensively and the bullpen looked way better than the team does right now. But we've been so negative on this podcast so often because there hasn't been anything good to talk about. Like I said, The Toronto Blue Jays haven't won a series since June 16th. It's almost been a month since Toronto Blue Jays won a series. So I'm going to spin zone it in a positive way this episode. I'll say this right now. I guess one of the only negative things I say is, are the Toronto Blue Jays back? Absolutely not. This bullpen. You look at Zach Pop, for example. I like Zach Pop. I never thought he was like the greatest pitcher of all time, but he is a walking machine right now. He is walking the entire house. I don't think he knows where the ball is going. It's either a walk or it seems like he's finding the middle of the plate. People are smashing the ball all over the yard on him. And when he's coming in the 8th inning, I know Trevor Richards wasn't available. I'm surprised Chad Green was honestly available for this game as well. But when you have Zach Pop coming in the 8th inning for your bullpen, things aren't necessarily looking good. But one thing I kind of want to argue about this game, why isn't Nate Pearson coming in that spot? Maybe they like the matchups better. They're both right-handed pitchers, but I trust Nate Pearson way more in higher leverage than I do Zach Pop. Not really sure why John Schneider's doing that. Nate Pearson looked unbelievable again today. He is a little bit sporadic. You can kind of tell with Nate Pearson after his first couple pitches if he's going to have it, if he's not going to have it. Looked really good today. The fastball just plays so much. When you're throwing 100 as Nate Pearson, you definitely love to see that with the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen that doesn't really have any fireballers other than Nate Pearson. But Brendan Littles comes in, saves the day, works to a 3-2 count. I was shaking in my boots, I'll be honest. That would have been a TSN turning point. I don't know. I knew the Jays weren't scoring off Munoz, so I knew as soon as if they were going to score there, that game probably would have been over. And then Daulton Varsho, I guess I'll let you debrief the Nate Pearson, Zach Pop thing. With Daulton Varsho, got him on my back right now. Huge RBI single for Vladdy, obviously the winning run. But how do you feel about this Zach Pop on Nate Pearson sort of stigma that's going on?
Yeah, I think we've sort of talked about this before. I like Nate Pearson and I like Zach Pop, but Zach Pop's not playing up to a standard of an 8th inning pitcher right now. And in that scenario, yes, I 100% agree that if you're just looking at it on paper, I think Nate Pearson you throw there. But obviously, I would assume that there was some matchups that they liked, like you talked about, because you don't go to Nate Pearson there and not Zach Pop if you're not having some I don't know, like look ahead. Like they probably were looking at, okay, this is how this game's going to probably play out. We need Nate Pearson here, and we need Zach Pop here to then get Chad Green into the game, which, like you said, was shocking. I didn't think there was a chance. I thought if it was going to be anybody, I thought it was going to be Trevor Richards. But we'll take that. He did the job, and then obviously Henny Cabrera, huge tip of the hat. we've bagged on this. Another guy we've bagged on all year long. Today or yesterday, he got that job done, and great on him. He was looked electric out there after the win. He's celebrating. He's pumping the chest. I love it. I thought that was a very entertaining win.
Yeah, see, obviously the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen is thin. I think one reason that probably Nate Pearson came in the seventh inning, it doesn't really matter about like seventh inning, eighth inning. It really matters who's up to the plate. Nate Pearson takes on the top of the order. Zach Pop, you would hope he could take on the middle of the bottom of the order. Obviously not doing that. Doesn't matter who you're throwing to. If you can't throw strikes, it's not going to go well. So it's just where the bullpen state is at. When you have Zach Pop pitching in that eighth inning, not ideal. But Henny Cabrera from the left side's unbelievable. I love seeing this guy pitch. Sometimes doesn't go his way, sometimes doesn't go how we want it to go. But his style, his mojo out there is definitely fun to watch. Just worked out, bases loaded, didn't allow runs. Exactly. I don't care how you do it, as long as you get the result done, you get the series win. That's kind of where I'm at with this team. But saying that, we got a couple other games to break down. Obviously, a ton that goes on over the weekend series. We'll go into the second game, the first game, and some other Blue Jays news right after this short break here. Up to this point in the season, I've watched pretty much every Toronto Blue Jays game. And when I watch the Toronto Blue Jays games with my friends, we always find ourselves predicting the next outcome in at-bats, whether it's strikeouts, a hit, a home run. We always seem to be making these little wagers. And as much as it is fun to say, Braden, you're an idiot, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Prize Picks gives me the opportunity to put my money where my mouth is and make a little bit of money off my picks. So don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond into your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more than or less than and add them to your Prize Picks entries today. Prize Picks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entries in as little as 60 seconds. If you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download Prize Picks and start making your picks today. You can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. Here on Locked On Blue Jays, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming for you for unfiled taxes. The IRS could garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and the tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and you need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in the episode description below.
So, Carter, just before we get into some other games here, I just had one other stat that I found really interesting. Jose Barrios has given up 21 home runs this season, which is the most in the entire MLB for pitchers. It is tough to see and tough to say that because at the beginning of this season, he was so electric, just unbelievable to watch. And yeah, he's fallen off a little bit. Yesterday's game wasn't exactly what you wanted to see from him. But it's the classic Jose Barrios. It's like the entire time he looks really good, and then it's a couple mistake pitches that kill him. And it's not like he's doing this the entire game. Usually he looks electric. I mean, today he had, 10 strikeouts, Carter?
He did, yeah. Season high for Jose Barrios. But then the problem with Jose Barrios is he gives up the moon ball. I believe it was Mitch Garver. I don't know why this happened. I got the score update before it even happened on TV. So I didn't want to give it away for you, but I know as soon as, you could tell, obviously, as soon as that pitch was hit, it was launched. And that was a changeup right down the middle. I'm not sure why that was the design. Obviously, didn't want to throw right down the middle, but a changeup in that count didn't really make sense to me. I wanted to slurve low and away. I think Mitch Garver would have just kind of swung the garden hose out there, and it would have been a lot better of a result for the Toronto Blue Jays. But, I mean, you go 7 innings, you allow 4 runs. That should be enough for an average baseball team to win. I don't know if you can say the Toronto Blue Jays offense is average at this point, but it is enough. The bullpen, we got to give them their flowers. 3 innings, no runs, even though Zach Pop tried his hardest to throw the game for the Toronto Blue Jays. But yeah, Jose Barrios, that's his biggest problem. It's just that it's the home run ball. 21 home runs, most in the MLB. It's tough. It's tough. But when you're giving up solo shots that usually don't hurt you, it's those 3-run home runs that are going to cause the damage.
Yeah, so Jose Barrios goes 6 innings. Sorry, I think you got confused with the 10 innings there, but the bullpen did get 4 innings, and I mean, I don't know. You know what? There's only we've talked about this game a ton here already, and given our sort of thoughts. Let's take a quick look back at the 2 games prior. I mean, the Friday game, there's just really not much to go over, Carter. The 2-hit ball game, the Blue Jays were just not there. The Blue Jays were getting no hit through 5 until Kevin Kiermaier launches one you know, to the moon, basically. I'd expect anything from him, and then he does that. So great for him. Uh, Too bad the rest of the team couldn't do anything because, yeah, 2-1 defeat is just not what you want to see. Looking back, I'm just sort of skipping over that one, Carter. If you have any like little things to say on that, go ahead. But I mean, other than that, can we just go to the Saturday?
The only really thing I have is Kevin Gausman. What an outing from this guy. 10 strikeouts, 2
Yeah.
walks, only gives up 6 hits, 2 earned runs. Obviously, you can't give up 2 earned runs when you only score 1 run in the baseball game. But yeah, that's just a game to forget. That is pretty much how the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays season has gone. You lose a game 2-1 to a Seattle Mariners offense that is just not that good. Obviously, Luis Castillo is on the mound, not necessarily having his best season of all time, but it's Luis Castillo. He has like a 3.70 ERA. That's definitely going to play. If anyone on our team had a 3.70 ERA, which there are players that do, but I'm definitely not going to complain about that whatsoever. Yeah, Friday game, there was a baseball game that happened. That's pretty much all that we can say on Friday. The Toronto Blue Jays showed up to the Mariners ballpark and they tried maybe. I don't even know if they tried that hard. But let's go into the Saturday game. Saturday game's a lot more fun to watch. Obviously, Wyrod's on the mound, and this guy's absolutely dealing. I think he had a no-hitter through the first 4 innings, was it? Something like that. Might have only given up, I think it was 2 hits in that start. He looked unbelievable. His
One
stuff,
hit.
there you go, 1 hit, even better. Cut that in half. So yeah, Yariel Rodriguez, he's been so good. In his last, I think it's 12 2/3 innings, he's given up 1 earned run. That's exactly what you want from Yariel Rodriguez. For a team that's in an uncertain spot right now, might be giving up some starters at the deadline. We're pretty certain Yusei Kikuchi is going to be dealt. You're going to have to rely on a guy like Yariel Rodriguez a lot more down the stretch. Maybe it won't be meaningful baseball, but you got this guy inked for 5 years. So you want him to show signs that he can be a productive MLB starter, and he has definitely done that over his last 2 starts.
Yeah, he's unbelievable to watch, and he's fun. He's electric out there. He brings the energy. He wants to do well, and you can see the emotion on his face with every pitch, and that's what I absolutely love. He's not a stone cold guy. He's going out there, and you'll see the emotion from him, which is a lot of fun to watch. Besides that, Carter, I mean, just sort of looking, we talked about the bullpen sort of collapse in this game, and we don't really have to rehash that. Looking back, though, another big day from Springer on Saturday, 2 for 3 with 2 walks as well. The guy was just nuts. And obviously, then, I mean, Vlad had another good day, 2 for 4. Yeah, I don't know. It's these 2 guys. This team hangs with right now Springer and Vlad, and Horwitz is doing his part, probably more so than anybody, but he's doing his role. We have to see more to Bo, man. It's painful. It really is painful to watch this guy right now.
Yeah, the at-bats aren't great. He got helped out with a double in the Sunday game because it was a misplay by whoever was playing right field for the Mariners. I know he's kind of been thrown around a bunch of times. But yeah, I think Bo's hitting like 230 right now. Just the at-bats, that's what he's swinging at, it looks like. The stats don't really say anything too crazy about Bo Bichette. Some of them are a little bit down, but it's nothing crazy drastic. This one for me is more so the eye test. Just some of the at-bats look very unserious. Some of the pitches he's swinging at just are horrendous. Some of them are in the other batter's box. So with Bo Bichette, I think you kind of have to give him the George Springer treatment of the first pretty much entirety of the season, first 90% of the season, is you hit this guy 6, you hit this guy 7, like maybe 5. I think 5's even pushing it. But the problem is you don't have Bo Bichette hitting there. Who do you have hitting there? Half the players on this team are hitting 200. Maybe we just keep Leo Jimenez up in Major League system. Congrats to him for having his first, I think he had 2 hits actually in that Sunday game. So congrats to him, a guy that is the 5th prospect in the Toronto Blue Jays minor league system. It's not the strongest minor league system, and we're pretty much seeing every prospect is what it's seeming like. Obviously, we saw Barger. We've seen Spencer Horwitz. Hopefully, we see Ricky Tiedemann down the stretch, assuming there will be a few trades. But yeah, congrats to him. Bo, I don't know. I don't know what you do with Bo Bichette. You got to hope that maybe the All-Star break comes. He takes a little bit of time to himself. Maybe he goes with his hitting coaches he works with over the offseason. I don't know what he needs to do. Maybe he's got to go to Australia for a couple days. Maybe he can go to the North Pole. Just do something. Get away from the Toronto Blue Jays facilities. Try to do like a mental like relapse. Just clear his head. try to get back to the baseball, and hopefully he can have a better second half. And maybe he'll have another Bo Timbers kind of month as well. I think that was 2 years ago where he was literally the best hitter I think I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I just remember that one game. I think he went like 4 for 5 with 2 bombs. I think it was against the Yankees. That's why it's staying in the back of my head. But when Bo Bichette's on, it is like a guy that's so fun to watch. Exactly like the George Springer thing. Exactly like how we were hoping Vladdy would turn it up this season as he has. So he's one of those players that I'm definitely not going to lose faith in. A guy that you could see be moved at the deadline, but Ross Seconds has seemed pretty adamant they're not going to move Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But honestly, with that, what else are you going to say to the fan base at this point? If you say you're going to move on from both of them, why even watch the games anymore? If you move on from both, there's not going to be butts in seats. Nobody's going to come to watch the AAA Buffalo players, even though they are better than a lot of the MLB Blue Jays players right now, like Justin Turner, Kevin Kiermaier, that whole question there. Yeah, Bo Bichette, if this team wants to even just be fun to watch down the stretch, if they want to compete ever, honestly, you need Bo Bichette to be hitting better than 230 and have an OPS of like 600.
Yeah, you do. And that's what it comes down to. We've talked about it. Your stars have to be your stars. And for a lot of the season, we saw just Vlad, and that's it. And now, yes, Springer's picking it up. And I don't know, man, if Bo gets it going and you can see a little bit more production out of Varsho, I mean, this is a good baseball team. It's just we're not seeing the production that we need to. And we're going to have a big trade deadline episode we're going to bring in, Skylar, Dallin. We're going to do a huge roundtable, everybody's thoughts. It might be a 2-parter. We'll sort of see how it takes us. But there's a lot to think about going into this trade deadline. Just in the fact that if you move on from Bo or some of these guys, then what happens? What's the repercussion from that? And I think there's a very good possibility that this team plays well at the back half of the season, doesn't have enough to get in. And next year, because they've seen the bounce back, they end up rolling out pretty much the same squad. And I think that's a very real possibility. But we'll get more into that. And I mean, Bo fits right into that conversation. So we're going to talk more about that sort of in the next, couple weeks when we put everything together. I don't know, Carter, everything else, do you sort of have anything else from this weekend before we sort of get into the Vlad Springer topic that we've sort of created here?
I got 2 things. So one thing is the offense. I got the offensive just runs over the last 12 games. He scored 53 runs over 12 games for a 4.42 runs per game average. Nothing crazy, but it'd be good for 14th in the league. You want this offense to be average. I'd be fine with a 16th, 15th, 14th rated offense. You can score 4.5 runs a game, like even 4 runs a game. You're probably going to win a lot of them with how good the starting pitching is. The problem is the bullpen. Can you get 3 innings of like 2-run ball from the bullpen? That's might be a little bit of a tall task. The other thing, I just wanted to give another shout out to Daulton Varsho. Some of the catches this guy just makes all the time. He had one where he did like a little barrel roll where he caught it like almost like a punt, and then he rolled over, threw the ball a second, gets up so fast, and just chucking it to second base.
Yeah, and there was
right on the money.
Sorry, yeah, and then there was the play at the wall too, where he goes crashing in, catching that ball. I put out a tweet, and you can follow me on Twitter, Braden Fabiwasco or Carter First 2. You can follow us. We both be sort of updating throughout the games if we see anything crazy here, if there's highlights or anything like that. And holy man, he is unbelievable, dude. Gold Glove, give it to him, because there is nobody more deserving of a Gold Glove than Daulton Varsho.
Yeah, you want give him the platinum glove. Honestly, at this point, screw it. Like he's that good defensively. Again, you want to see more offensive numbers. He hasn't been good offensively, but he does get a big hit in the 3rd game. If you had anyone else in the Toronto Blue Jays, the guys that you expect to hitting better, you probably don't look at Daulton Varsho as much. You can have a guy that's only going to hit, again, you want Daulton Varsho to probably hit 230 at least. You want like at least the Bo Bichette number with the average. You want to hit home runs, you can hit 20 home runs. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world when you have one of the best defenders in the league. Definitely just sucks, though, when you have Kevin Kiermaier, you have Alejandro Kirk, who actually had a very good game on Saturday. I'll give him his flowers there. Had another good at-bat today, scored a run. But, yeah, with Daulton Varsho, the defense is just – it's unbelievable. It's so fun to watch him play. Just some of the catches, he just makes them look so easy. And that one at the wall, just I don't know if anyone else is getting there other than Daulton Varsho. So I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to him. And while I'm giving people shout-outs, I might as well give a shout-out to the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, or the Amazon Fire TV's channel app, whatever is more convenient for you. 24/7, you can go there whenever you want. So, yeah, we're going to get into the George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. comparison. Not as much of a comparison, just how good they've been. Again, giving people shout outs, giving people their flowers, and these two are very deserving. So we're going to get into that after this break here.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. but the playoffs have winded down in the NBA and NHL. We get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, but FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets any time of day, anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. As I talk about FanDuel to you guys all the time, it is my favorite app on my phone. It is so easy to use. I do their pre-made parlays, and they seem to hit for me. The only time that I don't win is when I'm an idiot and I make my own and think that I know better. I don't know better. So go use their same game parlays. Head over to fanduel.com and start making the most out of your summer. So we're back. We are back. Third segment here on this Monday. The boys were banged up today, Carter. The boys were banged up. We didn't really talk about it. Skylar Peters came over. Had a hell of a night with him as well. And yeah, it just got carried away, man. I was cleaning up the living room today, and that should not be a reasonable amount of beers that any three guys should have. That was absolutely crazy, but fun, super fun. We talk pretty much what it comes down to when the three of us hang out, plus Jarvis, is Blue Jays baseball. It was an episode of the podcast that will never see the light of day, probably. That's pretty much what it was. So great time with him. We woke up today, Carter, had some stuff. We didn't have a ton going on, but had to get some stuff done. But holy moly, I was exhausted, dude.
Well, I mean, I think I went to bed at like 6 a.m. So that's just not going to make for a productive Sunday evening for me. I woke up at 1:30, and then I think I took a nap today. I might have taken two. I took a little bit of a snooze before this podcast even started. So it's been a real nothing day for me. It's a little bit of cleaning up, just a little bit of like chores, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nothing labor intensive, that's for sure. But I guess what a great weekend though. I have nothing bad to say about it. I mean, maybe we should try to go to bed at like 3 a.m. Maybe that's something we aim for next weekend. But hey, like I'm 22 years old. You're 23, almost 24. This is the only time we're gonna do this stuff. I'm not gonna be doing this when I'm 30. Hopefully, anyway. I hope I'm in a more secure spot. Maybe not staying up till 6 a.m. But I mean, hey, with the boys is with the boys. You get a little bbit carried away, and that's okay if it happens from time to time. Definitely a great night hanging out with some good friends. And just, we're pretty much an episode of Locked On Blue Jays that probably a good thing that doesn't see the light of day, because the takes were definitely bold there. A lot of good takes, but a lot of things that probably shouldn't come out of this household. So saying that, we got two players that we do want to talk about, two performances. Other than my beer pong performance against you guys, just absolutely lethal last shot, because you were kind of dogging me that one time you beat me at the cabin. Didn't want to talk about it. Had to throw that up. But let's go into Vladdy and George Springer. So I got a bunch of Vladdy stuff. I think you have the George Springer stuff. Since George Springer hit that 3-run home run on the Sunday game, I'll throw it to you and I'll let you start with George Springer.
Yeah, so just going over George Springer, I went through his July so far because I want to compare them to the overall sort of season statistics for him, because holy moly, my guy, it is a very big jump to say the least. So I'm going to go over his July stats here. So far, through, I guess it would be 7 games now, 28 plate appearances, 23 at-bats, 6 runs scored, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. He's got 6 strikeouts, 4 walks, 7 hits, and a batting average of .304. So, I mean, it's not as insane as probably if you look back like a week prior, it probably would be even crazier. But I want to go in the last 7 just to show you that the consistency is starting to be there for George Springer. And that's exactly what we needed from him. This season so far, as sort of the entirety, it's very weird to look at, Carter, to say the least. 337 plate appearances. He's got 40 runs, 65 hits, 12 doubles, 9 home runs, or now I guess is 10 home runs.
Yeah, it depends if it was updated or not.
I don't know if it's updated. We'll say that with Iffy. I think it's 10. 28 RBIs, obviously, plus the couple today as well, puts him over 30. 9 stolen bases. The guy is just a menace on the base paths when you give him the opportunity. So really, really fun to watch him. He's got his batting average is now up to a 221. So, I mean, he's starting to try to get it back up there, but it's taking some time. He's got a slugging percentage of .354 and an on-base percentage of .313. So I don't know, Carter, just George Springer. I mean, it's such a weird time in Blue Jays land, because, man, we hated him for a while. Not hated him personally. It's just he was playing bad baseball and stuff wasn't happening. and we were frustrated, and we had the right to be because it was terrible. And now he's picking it up, he's playing well, and man, there's nobody that loves good George Springer more than us two.
Yeah, 10 home runs. We were right about George Springer there. But yeah, his OPS, I think like 2 weeks ago was like 570, and now it's 672. Again, it's not exactly what you want from George Springer, but that is massive strides to make up in 2 months. Maybe this is the month of George Springer. Hopefully, he can continue this on for July. At least make it a little bit more difficult for the Toronto Blue Jays to probably eventually sell their team. One thing, they're going to get into some other trade deadline stuff down the road. So I'll kind of leave that at there with the trade deadline stuff and making those decisions, whatever. Well, George Springer, yeah, it's fun to watch George Springer play baseball again. There was a good month and a half there where every single time George Springer came up, I'm like, why is this dude even in the lineup? And then John Schneider moved him back to one. I'm like, this might be a little bit early, but I'll give credit where credit's due. Definitely the right decision. You're riding the hot hand. It's what we always preach on this podcast. That's exactly what you have to do with George Springer, a guy that if we played this game against the Seattle Mariners, the Sunday game, 2 weeks ago, before George Springer gets hot, that game ends 4-1. There's no way that George Springer is hitting a home run in that state he's in. And I think he has 5 home runs over the last 2 weeks. He had 5 home runs in the first 2.5 months of the season. So that shows you that George Springer's power is starting to come back. Maybe we'll have another 20 home run hitter. I can cross my fingers. The power is something that this Toronto Blue Jays team needs desperately. And no matter what happens, George Springer is going to be on this team for the next 2 seasons, unless somehow you can get out of that contract. But I think George Springer now is 34 years old, if I'm correct. So he's going to be 36 at the end of that deal. Don't know if you want to be paying $25 million for a 36-year-old. But again, so George Springer, you're going to be stuck with it. You might as well have him be playing good baseball on this team. A guy that kind of started this big Toronto Blue Jays. I was going to call it dynasty, but I mean, no playoff wins.
Yeah, not quite.
That's not quite the word that I'm looking for here. But it started like all the big free agents coming over here. You don't get Kevin Gausman. You probably don't get Chris Bassett. All of these players without George Springer signing here. Hyun-Jin Ryu, obviously, I'll shout him out as well. But George Springer, such a fun guy to watch. He's so good defensively. He's so good on the base paths. You can get offensive production from him, the regular George Springer, that the reason they paid $25 million per year for him over a 60-year time span, that there's a reason for it. There's a reason why he got paid that much money. You don't need necessarily the 2017, 2018 George Springer where he was in his prime. George Springer's 34 years old. You just want him to be productive. You want him to give just quality at-bats and not be swinging that junk. So I'm going to go into Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here. The way I did this is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cut his hair on June 19th. Obviously, the famous dreadlocks. Since then, I mean, Vladdy's been good all season. But since Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cut his hair, this guy, it's I don't know, maybe a little bit lost weight. Maybe that bat speed's caught up a little bit with not as much hair in the way. But in the last 15 games, there's 16, including today, but I have only the 15. 371 average, a slugging of 758, an OBP of 394. 23 hits over 62 at-bats, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs. I mean, that looks just speak for itself right there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is crushing the baseball. And that's what we love to see. You would hope that you could have got more wins out of this and maybe been closer to 500 with this hot streak going on from George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Haven't really got anything yet. They got 2 more series to hopefully keep this up. But that's why Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an all-star. He's the only all-star on the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe Chris Bass gets thrown in there. If Jose Barrios didn't have a really bad last 5 starts, he probably would have been in there as well. Vladdy might be a solo mission on this one. He's not going to the home run derby this year. Probably good for him. And just kind of focus on enjoying the weekend. Just don't change anything. You're Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's having a great season. 830 OPS. Definitely can't complain about that. But yeah, Vladdy crushing baseballs. Vladdy hitting baseballs hard. He's 4th in the American League in hits.
Yeah.
I think Bo Bichette would be more in that conversation than Vladdy. You maybe want more home runs than for Vladdy. But he's hitting the ball hard. He's getting on base. He's driving the ball out of the yard, especially as of late. So I definitely can't complain about anything that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing over this season.
No, he's been excellent. And the one thing that it was sort of strange over this weekend was the bat just wasn't staying in Vlad's hand. He threw the bat away 5 times in 3 games, just slipping out of his hands, letting it go. And I know he had a little bit of the hand issue. He hasn't totally gotten the strength back in that hand.
Garrett Cole hit that hand, that little scumbag. Yeah. So that's there's a bounty on Garrett Cole's head for Toronto Blue Jays Nation. There always has been, there always will be. But now the payday went up a little bit here. So maybe it was at like 100,000. Now, you know what? Let's just bump it up to $500,000 here. Screw Garrett Cole. Hate that guy. Might be my least favorite player in the MLB. Yeah, he is a good baseball player, though. I will give him that. But as a person, terrible human being.
Yeah, I agree. And it was just weird to see every couple swings, Vlad be letting it go. And you could see it's just like he's not fully gripping it with the hand. And you could see it just when they do the close-ups of him in the batter's box. It's like he's not really strong arming the bat, which is weird. It was funny, but you could tell he was getting very frustrated with it. But whatever. I just a little tidbit. He's been so good. So I can't complain. It's probably not a him problem. It's just probably he's just doesn't have that grip strength back yet. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping it won't really affect anything. It doesn't seem like it will, but it's something to keep an eye out for at least.
Well, I mean, with this offense, I rather have Vladdy swing with one hand than have some of these at bats. So I don't
Yeah.
want Vladdy out of the lineup. He's still being productive. He had like a Jose Altuve-esque swing where he kind of just threw the bat at the ball, get a little bloop single, drove in a run. That's what we want Vladdy to do. If he can just be productive, he doesn't even like. It's not hard to be a productive hitter compared to the rest of the Toronto Blue Jays guys. Like the top 3 guys in OPS are Vladdy, IKF, who's injured unfortunately, and then Justin Turner. So if you went into the season thinking that, you're probably thinking things aren't going too well. And look where we are. Things are not going too well. So we need Vladdy in the lineup. If Vladdy's not in the lineup, we kind of saw it with IKF leaving, and Vladdy's not in the lineup either. What are you watching? There's nothing to watch anymore. Like you have Spencer Horwitz. Now you have George Springer, but it wouldn't be fun, nearly as fun to watch Toronto Blue Jays baseball if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was not in the lineup. Even when he is in the lineup, the offense still sometimes cannot get it done. But I think at this point, this is the last thing I'm going to ask you here. Are you more worried about this offense at this point or the bullpen?
The bullpen by far. I mean, the offense isn't where you want it to be either. But if you can't close out a game and the offense does give you just enough to get a win and the bullpen can't come in and close that game out, that's a problem. And that's where you're going to drop a lot of those wins. And it's going to take the energy out of the team too, because there are games that maybe you think you should win and then you just can't. So yeah, it's just an energy killer, honestly.
Yeah, I think the same way. I know at the first half of the season, I'm like, hey, you score 4 runs. Even in this episode, I think I said, if you score 4 runs, you're probably going to win the baseball game. I don't know how true that is anymore because the starting pitching can go out and they can have a very good day, throw 6, 7, sometimes even 8 innings. Then you get the bullpen arms. You don't have Trevor Richards ready. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. Like it's pretty much batting practice, it seems like, for a lot of the other teams. Seattle Mariners are one of the worst teams offensively in baseball. And the bullpen almost threw it against them in the second game of the series as well. So, again, I'll give them their flowers for the Sunday game. They just barely do enough to hold on. Multiple different times, bases were loaded. But I don't really hate on the results. You get wins. Hopefully, the Toronto Blue Jays can continue to do that. Just want to say thank you guys for watching. I'm definitely feeling a lot better. But after the late night we had there, mentally, I could be a little bit better. I feel a little spacey right now. But I'm just glad that I'm not blowing my nose literally every 30 seconds, coughing up just a bunch of weird stuff. I won't get too much into that, but I just wanted to go back to this. Thank you guys, all the subscribers, the comments, the debates, whether you agree with us, you don't agree with us, whatever. We like seeing different perspectives. We like just engaging with the fans, just kind of doing what we were doing on Saturday. Just we talk Blue Jays baseball, say what we like, say what we don't like, maybe get a little bit too emotional about this team, but it's an emotional baseball team to watch, man. There's a lot of bad feelings that come with the Toronto Blue Jays. So getting them out, especially on this podcast, we are very blessed to do that because of you guys. Obviously, if we were just talking to nobody, we probably wouldn't be doing this right now. So we appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. Want to just throw it over one more time to Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, Amazon Fire TV's channel app, whether it's WNBA, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB. If you want to check out some other teams over there, maybe some more fun teams to watch, maybe the Baltimore Orioles, if you want to go over there. But yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to check out expert analysis. Braden, you got anything else to add before we finally have an off day, actually, the Toronto Blue Jays on the Monday?
Yeah, it's sort of nice, honestly, to have the off day. Even for us, I think it's just we're supposed to play a baseball game tomorrow night now, so it's sort of perfect timing. We're not having to run around all over the place trying to catch the game, make sure we know what's going on. Makes it a little bit easier for us, but make sure you guys check out our Twitters because usually on off days you start hearing some stuff going on, some rumblings about some certain things. So yeah, keep your ear to our Twitters. We'll try to keep you guys up to date on everything that's going on. Like Carter said, really appreciate you guys watching us, and we'll continue because we got a lot of trade deadline stuff to talk about over the next coming weeks. So hopefully you guys are prepared for that.